Okay, hi. Welcome to our very first show, very first episode. This is exciting. It could be a colossal disaster, but that'll at least be fun if it is. My name is Drew Styling, and like I said, this is the very first episode of Adventures in Job Searching. Middle of January 2026 right now. Just kind of had the idea about a week ago. The reason that Monique Battiste is our first guest here is because about a week or so ago, I read about her in the Wall Street Journal. There was a really good article from Taiping Chen, just explaining, some people, what their job search journeys are. First, I loved reading that, and I thought, it'd be great if we could find a way for these job search candidates, like myself, and I'm a full-time job searcher as well right now, if we could just give them a place to tell their story and let their personality shine. Uh, Everything social is video nowadays, especially in the social world. So, in a world of, LinkedIn posts and resumes and all these, 2D things, I just thought it'd be nice to let people shine. And, I just love meeting new people. I've lived in a bunch of different places. So I love, I'm familiar with connecting with people from a wide range of backgrounds. So I just thought this would be, something fun to do. It didn't seem like there was anything like this in the podcast world. And especially as someone who spends a lot of time on LinkedIn right now because of the job search, it kind of felt like a very appropriate way. So again, I mentioned that about a week or so ago, I read about Monique in the Wall Street Journal and an article about job searchers. So I guess my first question, Monique, is how did the author of that story go about finding you?
She found me on LinkedIn based off of a post that I had wrote about me working 3 part-time jobs, in school full-time, and pulled off a 4.0. Um, decided to go back to school. So it was one of those things when I was like, I got a 4.0. Oh my gosh. And just trying to find the balance within it all. Also being a single mom. So she was intrigued. She was like, how do you do all of this? I have no idea. It's a lot of time
Yeah.
management. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, when I read about, the day it kind of profiled in the article, I believe, is kind of you woke up, you did a fitness training session, as got your kids ready for school. How many children do you have?
I have one.
Okay, and what grade are they?
She is in the 5th grade, going to 6th.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
almost middle school.
So I was just blown away by reading about more than anything how long your days are. I was like, my lord, that is just a long, long day. So I guess maybe for right now to start, you maybe give a example of a typical day, and then from there you can we'll start talking a bit about your background and whatnot. So right now, what's a normal day like for you?
A normal day for me now that my schedule has kind of switched up. Before she reached out to me, my schedule was getting off. Actually, I was working like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Monday, Tuesday. Well, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 6 days a week. I would get off at 2, rush to the gym to be there for 4:30, train my client, done at 5:30, rush home, get my daughter up for school. She likes to be at school at 7. Bell doesn't ring till 7:40. So rushing her to school for 7 o'clock, then coming home, trying to take a nap. Then I'd have a meeting at 9 a.m. with the part-time marketing assistant position that I have with a nonprofit based out of Chicago. Work that until about 2 o'clock. Go and pick her up from school, come home, finish cooking dinner, help her with her homework. A friend of mine would come over and sit with her, and I would just leave and go to work. And I'd be at work, and it's just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. On top of that, finding time to complete papers and do homework and still be present. And it was a lot. It was a lot. Like there was little to no sleep. I was running off caffeine and dreams at that point. And it was just like my mental was, this is temporary. It's not permanent. We just have to do this for right now. This is not a forever thing. And that's kind of what I like tell my daughter. I'm like, no is just for right now. No does not mean forever, because kids, as soon as they hear no, they're just like, oh, it means no forever. No, it's just for right now. So I had to put myself in that position. This is just temporary. This is just for right now. This is not a forever thing. But it was just one of those things where it was just like I couldn't wait for my schedule to change. So now my days kind of end at 11 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. and then running into the next day and running and just running. So it's been a little bit easier since the new year started, but it's still about the same level of hecticness. So
Yeah. I'd imagine even just from a purely mental standpoint, knowing like at least knowing you're not going past midnight might just at least feel good mental to feel like your days are separated. You know, when one day bleeds into another, it's like no day ever starts, no day ever ends. So
correct. And that's how it
yeah.
felt. I was just like, somebody's like, you have to get rest. I was like, thanks, Captain Obvious. When does the rest occur? Well, you have to find time. There is no time. The days are just running together. It's just back to back at this point. And that was just, tunnel vision. It's almost done. Just get through it. You'll be fine. So that's where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go back to your background a little bit. So you graduated college 2011 with a kinesiology degree, right? And correct that you started working in the fitness world?
Yeah, I had been
Okay.
working in fitness since 2005, working at gyms, front desk. Went from front desk. I've worked sales. I did personal training. I did personal training manager, operations, just the whole gamut. So like I've been in and out of the fitness industry since 2005. So
Okay. So
especially in
when
like the big box gym space. So
right,
yeah.
right. So could you talk then a bit about how have you been in the Dallas area the whole time or moved around a bit?
I moved to Dallas in 2013. By
Okay.
2015, I was in South Carolina, North Carolina, Atlanta, then South Dakota, and then back to Dallas. So, but by 2017, I was back in Dallas.
Okay. So you've been, around a decade now in Dallas. And again, I think it's an advantage to be in a larger market just because there's, more jobs there versus,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Pittsburgh now, having lived in, Chicago and New York. Pittsburgh certainly smaller, not as many jobs. So at least that's one, and if you disagree, but would think at least that's one advantage for job searchers being in a larger market like that. Do you feel like that's true or not really?
I just feel like it's more competitive being in a larger
Of course.
market,
Yeah.
because there's
Mm.
and it's not just, people who are already here, it's people who are moving here who, make
Mhm.
it that much more competitive and, trying to set yourself apart, but then
Right.
also not knowing what the jobs want. And, it's like, you're on a job search as well. You can check off all the
Mhm.
boxes and, I think my fastest rejection email was 11 minutes.
Wow.
Right. I'm like, you
Well,
didn't even read it. I just pushed send. It just came. And, I think the
yeah.
longest was 6 months before the rejection
Uh-huh.
email came. But at that point, I was like, I already knew it wasn't nothing. It came and I was like, wait, when did I apply to this? So then I had to search through my email to figure out when I applied. And I'm like, oh, that was 6 months ago. I didn't
Right.
even realize it was still that long ago. So yeah.
Right. Based on, looking over your LinkedIn, it's kind of fair to say that first kind of really long-term marketing role that you had was with Audia, correct? Audia Creatives,
Yes.
starting in 2017. Okay.
Mhm.
So could you talk about kind of what drew you to that company and what did you like about that work you did there?
It was what drew me to it was just like small. It was very small. It was very, very small team. But they did a lot of stuff with local businesses. So they handled, marketing, graphics. There was actually a recording studio inside of the office. There was a podcast
Okay.
studio inside the office. So there was ways to reach other markets and other people just to kind of get foot traffic through the door. Um, it also allowed me more insight into the local business ecosystem of Dallas, and
Mhm.
how, those businesses operated and what smaller businesses were looking for, how they budgeted. So it was very eye-opening, a very, very eye-opening experience. I was able to learn some Adobe and graphics and things from the owner himself. He would give me projects. He's like, all right, let's try this. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay. He was like, are you okay with Photoshop? I was like, I've never done this, but he would teach me different techniques. He was like, okay, we have this photo. This is what I want you to do. Walk me through the steps. So I was very adamant about constantly expanding my knowledge on things within the marketing space, because looking at job descriptions, they want a unicorn. and the unicorn needs to learn everything. So you need to know Photoshop, you need to know InDesign, you need to know this, and you need to know that, and can you edit a video? Can you create a video? Can you do motion graphics? And it's just like, wait a minute, I'm limited to just, it's marketing, but it was just allowed me to learn more about the role and, the career in itself. So it was very, very fun.
Okay, great. What would you say the main thing that you learned from that experience that still sticks with you today, either in terms of what you do or don't want in a job, how to land a job or something? What was kind of your biggest takeaway from Audia?
Be very open to criticism. It's not always negative. It's not always against you, but you have to be very open to criticism to learn and grow. And if you are always, kind of closed off to criticism, you'll never be able to grow in the marketing space. So
how did you develop the ability? And again, I'm just asking for myself because I need to get a lot better at this. How did you develop that ability to not take it personally?
Have you ever read the book, The 4 Agreements?
Yes, I have. Read it. Well, no, I would say I've done a lot of group training exercises that use it. So I'm familiar with it. It's a better way to put it.
So one of the agreements is don't take anything personal. So I never took it personal, like this was an attack on me. It's just, this is their perception of how they wanted it done. And, and then I just took that back. It's like, okay, moving forward, I know this person's thought process. So therefore, anything that I did moving forward was according to their standards and how they wanted it. And then if something failed, it wasn't on me, because at the end of the day, this was the feedback that I received and the criticism from what I did originally. So, you kind of have to eat this one. But I gave, it's almost like you give them what they want, and then they have to kind of sit with that and be like, and then they'll come back and be like, you know what, you were right. Can we do it this way moving forward? So it's like, I'll do it my way or do it the way that I think it should be done. You have your response to that. And then once we come back and, we powwow, we'll eventually find some sort of middle ground.
Yeah. And I mean, and certainly speaking for myself, and I think a lot of professionals, especially early in your career, it's an adjustment to remember that you're not self-employed. Your job is to make, by and large, 90% of the time, your job is to make your boss happy. Most of the time, that'll be giving them what they ask. If you have your own ideas, that's great. But most of the time you're going to have, and again, if you're great at persuasion, you can get them to think that your idea is their idea. But I think that's something that a lot of people, can be tough to remember, that it's not really about, most of the time, it's not about what you want when you're an employee. It's about, making the boss happy because they have their own boss to make happy, and on and on up that trail. So, would you say kind of after that, where you're like, yeah, I really like marketing, that's definitely something I want to keep doing?
Yeah. And that's when I ended up starting my own agency. It was a lot. I had 25 clients at one time by myself. How did I do it? I have no clue, but we got it done. It was just one of those things where I was just like, okay, we jumping in head first at this point. Like, let's go for it. And it pretty much, to be honest, it really started taking off during the pandemic. Like, once the pandemic hit, it was just like, everybody was like, I need social, I need marketing. What can I do? We can't go outside. How do I market my business? And I was just like, I gotcha. Don't even worry about it. So what I did was, my cousin, he just ingrained it in my head. Whatever skills you have, you can make it a job. So I took the skills that I had and made it a job. And I presented it as, I do the things that you don't want to do as a business owner. So you don't want to do social? I'll do it. You don't want to make the strategy? I will. You don't want to create the graphics? I'll do that. So that's when everything just started taking off. And everybody was like, oh, I got this girl. She knows exactly what she's doing, blah, blah, blah. And it was just client after client after client after client after client. And I was just like, okay, now I have to manage all these social pages. I had to buy software. So then I was, using different software to manage everybody's accounts and, things like that. So it was social, marketing strategy, content, graphics, all of it just encompassing. And then eventually I dove into web design, and then I started with ads. So it was like I was pretty much teaching myself as I went along, because I wasn't landing jobs after I had got my master's degree. So I was like, all right, if I don't have a job, let's go ahead and create one. So that's what I did. and it kind of worked itself out in the long run.
And are you still operating your own marketing agency?
Closed that one down. Tried thinking about relaunching. Like, I've already like built the website, everything, and I'm just like, do I really want to go through this again? You know, am I really ready to just, go in all in by myself again, or do I need a team? So just still playing the balance game, and right now it's tipped. So until I can kind of free up some time, I don't think I have like the mental capacity to do it. So it's kind of just sitting on the back burner for now. But if people come to me and say, "Hey, can you help?" I don't have a problem with picking up, a freelance gig real quick.
So then, recently for a few years, you worked at Solera Incorporated, correct? And they're in the automotive space. You did digital marketing for them. So could you talk a bit about what you did in that job? Certainly, like what is, and this is something that I think a lot of job searchers, could certainly improve at, is what is the biggest value you think you added when you were there? That if you sort of just took someone who would be an average performer in that role that you did for a few years, what did you do that made you so much more valuable to the company than an average performer?
Let's see. When I came in, they had 600 social media accounts across the entire company. So there's 40 brands under their corporate umbrella. I did an audit, and within 6 weeks, I had got it down to 250. By the time,
And so what's the benefit of bringing that count down?
Because that means to be honest, there wasn't even enough staff to manage 600 social pages globally. So bringing it down, it allowed us to see what was active, what was inactive, when was the last time it was posted to, have we ghosted the audience on this, where can we grow from here? Implemented a social strategy, marketing strategy, because there wasn't one for the company globally within my first, 2 months. So by April, January, no, it's about 3 or 4 months. By April, there was a complete marketing strategy for the entire company. Within my first year, grew the company's social pages organically over 100%. And if anybody that's in the marketing space knows, organic is very, very hard to grow because it's pretty much the last man on the marketing totem pole. It's like, how did you do it? And that was pretty much, my biggest accomplishment. And then on top of that, still managing over 150 social media pages by myself, as I was the only person in that role within the entire company. So it was a lot of work. Took a lot of time management. Monthly reporting, weekly reporting. Mind you, I'm dealing like globally. I would hear Teams calls going off at 3 a.m. and it's Germany, or it's Tunisia, or somebody in New Zealand, like, hey, can you help us with this social stuff real quick? So, just being able to work with a global company, and being able to see how things are marketed in the European space, especially when you have GDPR active, and it's like trying to make sure that we adhere to those guidelines. And then
what is and for those of us not in the know with that acronym, what's GDPR?
It's the global, I believe it's global data protection regulations. So certain ways you have to word things, certain way things have to be presented. You can't do it the same that you do in the US that you do in Europe, or globally. So it's like, and how you manage their data, because think cookies, but bigger. If you don't do it right, there's a fine coming your way. So just, being conscious of that at all times when creating things and coming up with strategies was really, really big. But I would say that would be like the biggest, my biggest accomplishment. And I did have fun. I learned a lot, especially, like I said, it's a global company. Miss it for sure. I worked with some really, really, really amazing people. But my time there was up. So, it is what it is.
What is kind of the biggest thing you learned there in terms of either, what guides you in your job search, what sort of next roles you're looking for?
Being seen. Because a lot of times when you're working in corporate, you're not seen. Like, your work you don't feel like it's being valued, and you just feel like it just gets watered down. So like in my next role, just being able to be seen, really just not really camaraderie, but that sense of community, like, hey, we're all in this together. We are all like working towards the end goal and not kind of being scatterbrained. Like, if it's like you have this group over here, this is their goal, and then this group over here, but it's not conducive to the overall goal of the company. So just
Hmm.
making sure that all parties involved are on the same page, so that we can, make money. Because at the end of the day, this book that I read at least once a year is called The Customer Signs Your Paycheck. It's not about what we want inside of the company. It's what the customer is expecting from us, and how do we present that to them for them to sign our paychecks. So that's usually my thought process going in is, okay, when I do look at companies and apply, it's like, how can I come in to help the customer sign the paychecks? What can I
Hmm.
do, or what value can I bring to this brand or to this corporation to get them to that next level? So that's my thought process going into anything at this point. How can we become more efficient? What are some things that, could be done differently? Not saying I'm going in and I just want to change everything, but it's just, how can I help everyone around me be successful as well?
Being seen, that's a, pretty interesting statement. What specifically does that mean to you when you say that it's important for you to be seen?
Because a lot of times when we're in corporate spaces, it's like you're just a number. Like, you're just here, and you're going to do what I tell you to do, not what I was hired to do. It's just, you do what I say. And then it's like your creativity gets stifled. You kind of start to fade into the background. You're just like, I'm just going to give them what they want, and then everyone wants your opinion, but nobody values your opinion. So it's just like you kind of shut down, and you're just like, I'm here. And
Hmm.
every day you wake up, you're like, I'm here. I'm here. Just be thankful you have a job. And it's like, I don't want to wake up and be like, I'm thankful that I have a job. I want to wake up and be like, I like where I work. I like who I work for. I'm excited to be here. Because the moment that happens, you kind of, you eventually start to mentally check out, or you're mentally, overwhelmed. You're just like, why am I here? You have that moment. You're just like, why am I here? Like, I probably could get, more what I need from somewhere else. But then it's like, but in this job market, you don't even want to, we ain't gonna risk that. We're not cutting nothing off. We're just gonna keep going. So it's just one of those things where it's just, especially as a woman of color in these spaces, we're not seen all the time. We're always, it's like we have all the stereotypes. You're being angry, you're defensive, aggressive, when it's none of that. It's just our demeanor is just totally different. And um it's like, if you bring me in for a position, trust that I know how to do the work.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest thing, is trusting the person that you hire to do the work. A lot of companies don't trust enough because they've been burned by so many candidates that they don't even know if they can trust you. But it's like, we need to fill the role, so we're going to put you in it. And then you kind of just have to hope for the best. And that's kind of where, the cookie crumbles, because you're just sitting there just like, okay, I'm glad to be here, but does anyone trust me enough for me to be here, to be able to do my job without having to be second guessed about, are you sure? Are you sure this is right? So yeah.
Hmm. So with the, what would you say you're targeting? What kind of roles are you targeting with the current job search that you're doing?
Marketing director, marketing strategist, marketing assistant, um, social media, manager, director of social media. I love social. Social is so much fun for me. Um, I live on social. It's bad, but you know, it is what it
It's
is.
it's the it's
But
the
yeah,
world it's the
anything
world
like
we live in today.
marketing related, what I'm really looking for is an opportunity to grow. Um, I really just want growth. Like, I want to be able to be with the company and just grow and, put people under me and help them grow and mentor. And that's what I thrive on the most, is being able to help those who came before me or who come after me, and then, learn from the ones before me. So
Hmm. What what does that mean to you when you say grow? What it, can you talk a little bit more about that? What it means that wanting to grow is important to you?
constantly learning. My mom
Okay.
calls me her forever student, because I'm never not learning something. I will
Hmm.
figure it out. Like, for the longest, like, if anyone asks me what my weakness is, it's ads. I don't like ads. I don't like ads at all. It's not something I like enjoy playing with, but it's something that I'm willing to sit down to learn. So I will be in Udemy and learning about Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads. And, I know the basics, the bare minimum, but in terms of like, oh, we have this $100,000 budget and we're spending $50,000 a month. I'm just not comfortable with spending that type of money on an ad and just like, oh, were we throwing? No, it's one of those like I'm just not comfortable. So it's just getting comfortable in certain things like ads. Been working more on my copywriting skills, more on web design, troubleshooting and things like that. So it's just people that I can learn from. I just love cross collaborating and, also learning from others that are on my team. So like if someone's out, I can kind of step in if, there was an emergency was to arise. So that's what I'm looking for, really.
That's awesome. And I think it's essential, I think, to really know what you're looking for, because you can end up wasting a lot of time applying to things that aren't a good fit, and they end up in a job that's not a good fit. And it's the tough balance between wanting that steady paycheck, wanting a normal life, versus not putting yourself into an opportunity that you'll either be bored of in 3 months or, not set you up for success long term. And so if we just sort of talk about the day-to-day nitty-gritty, could you talk about over the last few months, what applying has been like, what interviewing has been like, what good things have happened the last few months, what bad things have happened the last few months? I think one of the hardest things about the job search is it's so easy to think I only had a successful day or week if I got a job, at the end of the day. And that's not true. You can't judge it by the outcome. You can only judge it by, am I doing the most effective things? But it's so hard to do that. So could you just talk about what you've experienced, especially over these last few months as you're looking for that next role? I'd love to hear that story in depth.
Rejection, rejection, rejection. Like not even so much as a callback. I've had recruiters reach out. I send over all the stuff that they need and then radio silence, not even so much as, oh, I submitted you for the role. At one point early on in my job search, I interviewed for a role to take over for someone's maternity leave. The only thing that was holding up, me starting was them getting the budget approved. I got ghosted by the recruiter and ghosted by the company after already saying, we're just waiting for the budget to be approved, but then and get you a start date. Nothing. So pretty much it was just a hope and a dream. And then a friend on LinkedIn, she sent me a message. She's like, hey, I have somebody who's looking for a marketing assistant. I was like, okay, cool. So I interviewed for the role. I think it was like early September. By late September, they were like, we want to go ahead and offer you the role. It's part-time, 80 hours a month. What do you think? I took it as fast as I could. Yep. Yep. Sign me up. Where do I sign on the dotted line? It is contract. So, we already know how contract work is. Absolutely love working with them. And then applied at Amazon and was just like, all right, we got to do something. So that was when the working overnight started. And it was just like, I applied to Target, Walmart, Whataburger, the grocery stores, everywhere, not even so much as a callback. I even walked into a Whataburger and asked for the manager. He was like, oh, the manager's not here. You can come back tomorrow. But the hiring event is from 3 to 8 and it's 4:00. I'm confused. Well, they're not here, so you can come back tomorrow. Well, I can't come back tomorrow because tomorrow I have, I had other things that I needed to take care of. So it's not a good market. And I tell anyone, if you have a job, hold on to it as long as you can. Hold on to it as long as you can, because this is not the market that you want to just be like, I quit. Some people can find a job really fast. Others of us, it's a struggle. And you do not want to play Russian roulette with money right now.
Do you kind of do self-reflection in terms of like effective job searching? Because I think most of us can improve at the effectiveness from a tactical perspective of job searching. So is there anything that you've like learned over the last few months of this is what effective job searching is?
I don't mass apply anymore. So I don't do the whole like 10, 20, 30, 40 applications a week. Stopped long time ago. I actually recently deleted my Indeed account because there was just nothing coming from it. And now it's just, if I see a company, like as I'm scrolling, I'll just go and check their website to see if they are hiring for anything. But I also stopped reapplying at companies that have rejected me more than once. So, like I was rejected, 4 times from American, 3 times Southwest, 7 times Toyota, 6 times AT&T. The list goes, Airbnb 7 times, and it's stuff that, and they're like, oh, well, you need to have certain keywords. We put the keywords. You need to run it through, AI did that. You need to get a resume writer, did that. Like doing all the things. So it's like, at what point, you just be like, you know what? We're just going to do at least 3 to 5 a week and see what happens, because it just got time consuming, and then it gets very, very stressful. And then it takes a blow to your self-esteem, because you're just like, why am I not good enough? And it's not even you. It's literally the system, So I just blame it on, what the country's going through right now. And these companies don't know what's going to happen next. So it's just we're all playing a limbo.
Mhm. If I come off as rude with this question, I apologize. Is there anything that deep down you kind of think like, I should be doing this for the job search, but for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time doing that technique or tactic?
Yes, a lot of people say you should reach out to the recruiters and, people that work at these companies to see if they could talk to somebody. And when you're not paying for LinkedIn Premium, how are you supposed to reach these people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then on top of that, a lot of those people don't even respond. So it's like, I've seen posts where like, oh, send me a DM. And then you send a message. It never gets seen. They never reply. So I'm just like, is this just for engagement? Because who are you actually replying to?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I was like, I'm not doing it, because it's like I said, I don't pay for LinkedIn. I don't have the money to pay for LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
And I just haven't really seen any true benefit coming from LinkedIn. Like even applying on LinkedIn at this point, I've applied to jobs and they'll see my application. Thank you for applying, but unfortunately, we're going to go with someone else. It's like, then next thing you know, I'll see the same job posting again. So I just started reporting the job ads, because it's like, you keep promoting the same stuff. And like, I think it was Hoka, I had applied, same position up for 3 months. And I was just like, at this point, they're just collecting resumes like Pokemon cards. And I'm tired of being part of the collection. I am not Pikachu. Let's get this together. So, I think a lot of people are starting to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just starting to see more and more lately how people are fed up with, the job search, and everybody's just trying to make the most of it.
And that is very, very true. What still gives you hope? What keeps you going? Keeps you applying? How are you able to find the perseverance and resilience to do that?
It's an open door somewhere. You just got to keep walking down the hall. And one day you're going to walk through the open door and you're going to be happy that you kept walking. Because if you stop now, it's like Alice in Wonderland. How many doors are you going to keep opening? And eventually that door is going to lead to the Wonderland. So, how many keys do you need? How much of this magic potion do I drink? How much smaller do I have to get before I can walk through the door? So it's just a never ending hallway. And one day that door is going to open and you're going to be glad that you kept one foot in front of the other.
Is there anything specifically about your current job search that gives you any specific optimism, either with the market itself or tactics you're doing?
I have a job and I'm grateful. And that is what I'm going into the new year with, is being grateful. And I feel like as long as I'm grateful for what I have, then the gratitude, more will come. You just have to be thankful for what you have, where you are right now. Because if you fumble what you have right now, how are you going to be blessed with anything else?
Mm-hmm. Are there any, job search blogs, Instagram, anything you read to help you improve your job searching strategy?
Everybody says the same thing, just words it differently. So
Okay.
It hasn't been anything that sticks out and says, oh, let me try that. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talked about you're in school right now. What's the reason you're in school? How do you hope it'll help your career?
Right now I'm in school, checking off another dream box of becoming a nutritionist. So, not necessarily going the dietetics route, but I am going towards board certified nutrition specialist. I would love to create and market corporate wellness programs, not only for small to medium-sized businesses, but like school districts and universities and things like that. So trying to tie it all together. Out of the current 3 degrees I have, I use 2. So this would be 3 out of 4, which isn't bad, you know? So it's like, I made some good choices in terms of that. You know, it's just, it allows a little bit more freedom and wiggle room, and I don't feel like I'm stuck in a box. So,
Right. How much longer do you have with that program till you'll be complete with that?
well, it is a 2-year program, but I will be done in a year. So by the end of this year, I'll be completed. I only have, we're in the spring semester, so 2 more semesters and I'm done.
Oh, that's great.
My advisor's like, he was like, you're pushing through 2 years in a year.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I said, my ADHD won't let me take 1 class every 8 weeks. So no.
Is there anything particularly funny or absurd or just shocking that's happened in this job search recently that you're just, are you kidding me?
Yeah. When I got a rejection email from Wendy's, I was like, what? It's just food. I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'm not even worried about it anymore. Once I got the rejection email from like fast food places, I was like, hey, don't have to worry about me anymore. Maybe there's something better. Yeah. Once I got that rejection, it was just like, okay, what can we do now? We have to do something and we got to do it fast. So yeah.
One more question, and then certainly anything you want to say. I guess that the final question is, like, let's say you're in a month, we'll say tomorrow, we'll be optimistic. Let's say tomorrow you're in the final round of an interview and someone finds, a hiring manager sees this video online and watches it. What message would you have for them about why you would be an amazing hire?
I'm very logical in my thinking. Emotion is at the background. I never think with emotion. In terms of business decisions, it's always logic. I'm very open to criticism. I'm very open to change. I'm very open to helping others. Definitely a self-starter. You don't even have to worry about, did she do it? Did she start it? It's already done. Half the time, I'm already 2 steps ahead. Time management is impeccable. You don't have to worry about, did it get done or are we going to meet the deadline? I will probably beat the deadline. I'm very, very, very optimistic, very fun to work with. I talk in movie quotes. A lot of people love that. And I just,
which movies do you quote the most often?
a lot. It's my favorite quote right now. I watch Cars a lot. Like, I love kids movies. I have a 10-year-old. But is Mater. And he said, I knew I made a good choice. And he said, what? He said, making you my best friend. And I just think that is so cute to me. And so sometimes I'll say it like randomly in conversation. They'd be like, I knew I made a good choice. They said, what? I said, picking this restaurant. So it's like, I just love to just make everything light. Like, not everything has to be serious, and just try to make everybody smile and have a great day, because life is too short to complain about things that we don't have control over. So I always say, control the controllables. Everything else will work itself out the way it's supposed to.
It's a good mindset to have. I think that's the only one that can get us through the day. So before we wrap up, is there anything you just want to share about either your career, your job search, either something you want to get off your chest, or just anything, you feel might be helpful to others, or, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
To any employer watching this, to any job seeker watching this, just know that you are a person and you are seen. Don't give up hope. I know that it's so much easier to say than it is to think, but just keep moving forward. Like Dory says, just keep swimming. We have to keep swimming. And just know that we are people, we are human on this side. Employers, actually look at our resumes, see us for who we are, and get to know us before making that final decision. We have lives just like you, and we're just trying to make it to the next day at this point. And so just don't give up hope and always have faith.
Thank you. You're bringing a tear to my eye. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for being the very first guest here in Adventures in Job Searching. And again,
Thank you for having me.
my goal with this is just to build a community of support. Hopefully somebody works in marketing sees this. Hopefully someone sees this and maybe they tell a friend about it that works in marketing. Let's That's my main objective here, just to be helpful, give a platform to people and maybe help them land that job that they were destined to do. So I
And you're a
appreciate you so much
blessing.
taking the time.
You are a blessing. Just
I
know
tell
that
myself, I look in the mirror and tell myself that every single day.
you are a blessing because not many people would do this. So I appreciate you. Truly, truly
Thank you.
do. Thank you.
Bye.